and it is streaming. Awesome. I'm here with Miss Maggie, and we are getting ready to dive into our Vegan Fitness Redefined interview Q&A. Before we dive in, Maggie, would love to hear a little bit about who you are, where you're from, what you do. We'll set out the expectation for our session in today. And before Maggie shares real quick, just drop in the comments. I'm actually seeing if I can look at the comments here. So it's a little bit tricky while I'm on Zoom, but just drop in the comments below if you're listening in live or listening to the replay. So just type in live or replay. And then I'll also drop in where you're listening from. So that way we just have an idea where people are listening in from. So Maggie, please.
Hi. Okay, I just had a birthday in January. I just turned 42, so I'm in my 40s. It's me, my husband, and my 4-year-old daughter. Born and raised in Pennsylvania. The last 8 years, though, we've been living out here in the Rocky Mountains in Utah. So I'm out here in
Where in PA, by the way? Where in PA?
In Pennsylvania, we were right outside Gettysburg. So if everyone's familiar with the Gettysburg Battle, Civil War, yes. we grew up with a lot of history.
Makes sense. Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. And so now you're over by the Rocky Mountains?
Yes, I can see the Rocky Mountains out my kitchen window. We had lots of snow again this morning, but we absolutely love it. And I'll just say, I guess I've vegetarian 13 years, vegan now, I don't know, 14 years, 15 years, somewhere in there. I don't know.
Many eons at this point.
more than half my life I've been a veggie, so I'm pretty proud of that.
Makes sense. Love it. And sounds like you're very well traveled as well, being on the East Coast, coming over now to almost the West Coast, very familiar with different landscapes, different cultures. So I love that as well. Awesome. Why don't we start off with a little bit of a kind of like a backstory, so that way everyone can understand kind of where you were about 2.5, almost 3 years ago. So, and I'll just share something real quick, and I'd love if you could elaborate on this, but I think if I remember correctly, one of the things that we spoke about before you got accepted into our VFR program was something along the lines that I just really dislike exercise. Like, I just really don't like exercise. And I just remember you were being so adamant about it. And I was very curious about it. I was like, wow, that's so interesting. Because you also, at the other side, you knew that it was impactful for you, right? You knew that this was actually going to be something that would be very helpful as you continue to grow and age and lead your family and be a positive role model for your daughter. But I just remember specifically you saying something along the lines like, I don't like exercise at all. Like, I find it boring. I don't like it, except could you elaborate on that and kind of share with us your mentality, your emotional state, like how you even viewed exercise, fitness, nutrition, maybe about 3 years ago?
It's really funny to hear you say that now because of the huge mind shift I have had. So yeah, I used to think that way. I mean, I guess I was always into sports. I was very athletic growing up, high school, college. I was very physically fit. So I really didn't have to worry about, exercising. It just was kind of part of my daily life, and exercise was kind of like a fun activity. It wasn't, like in a gym type setting. But I started to get older. I had an injury back in high school. So I had an old injury that started to hurt me. I went through childbirth, which is a big deal. Did that all naturally. So the aging process was starting to catch up to me, I was noticing. And just really wasn't feeling very healthy. And now having this little baby, this daughter that I needed to show up for her. So I know I needed to, just, I guess like most of us, I was looking for more energy. I was feeling very tired, fatigued, again, and I had this new family, starting a family, and I just really kind of felt like I was in a new spot to start a new journey. Because as you said, yes, I'm like, ooh, exercising, who wants to do that? It was definitely a
Mhm.
kind of a scary love-hate relationship with exercise and physical fitness when I first reached out to you. It was,
Mm.
yeah, because again, my physical fitness was more organic, just kind of sports and like as part of my
Mhm.
daily routine. But to actually like, let's work out, let's, lift
Yeah.
weights for a consistent, part of my day. That was something new. And to me, my mindset said, it sounds like work. It sounds like a chore.
Mm.
It was so originally I was really kind of like on the defense about it. But
Mm.
inside internally, I at the same time was having that struggle of knowing I need to change. I need a new path here, especially if I want to show up in the way that um, I'm picturing for my daughter, for my family. So
Absolutely.
I had this vision, and I just knew the path that I was on. I wasn't gonna get there. So I needed to make
Mm.
a change.
Right, right. And I think it's something that, as sometimes as human beings, we kind of make up this belief that it's like I'm the only one that's struggling with this. Like I'm the only one that's actually not capable of like taking ownership of my exercise, my health, my fitness. Real quick, type in exercise in the comment if you can relate even 1% to anything that Maggie just shared, because she shared such a great insight there with, recognizing that, what, I do want to do this. Like I do want to actually do this, but at the same time, like there's kind of like this hesitancy. There's a little bit of a resistance here that
Yeah.
was blocking her towards actually moving towards that vision. So just type in exercise, just so we can see if anyone else can resonate, relates to this, even 1%. And Maggie, going into that next phase, because obviously there was resistance. Obviously, we spoke quite a bit. And I think in some of our first initial conversations, we really like went deep into your why, right? And I remember, I think it was in our first or second conversation, we had like a huge aha moment. I don't know if you remember that conversation where you basically left that session. You're like, holy crap, this is why I'm doing this. Do you remember that conversation?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Finding my why, and like, I mean, it kind of, I relate it back to my reason of why did I go vegan? Why did I go vegetarian?
Mm,
Like I
mhm,
had this mind shift. I just started thinking about something in a different way. Getting around like you guys, the vegan community, fitness community, and I got a different perspective on things. And yeah, what did I need in my heart, my mindset to like commit? For vegan, it was like the animals. I
mhm,
committed like I'm an ethical vegan. So I was like,
mhm,
I'm going to show up, and this is how I want to show up in my heart as a vegan for the animals. And that just switched. And
mhm,
that helped me stay committed for all these years for the animals, because I connect really deeply with my why. So I
mhm.
did the same thing with my health and fitness, and my family, my daughter, was really, that's a very strong why for me. So it helped me on those hard days where I was
Mhm.
like, it feels like a chore, and
Yes.
I'm swearing at you because the weights are heavy, and I don't know why I choose to do it in the morning, but I'm like, I don't know why I'm up at 6 in the morning. Like, why am I
Mm,
doing this?
mm,
I do it for my family. I do it for me, but I
mm.
do it because that's how I want to show up in my life for my daughter. So it
At
finding a strong
100%.
commitment. It makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't know, actually, real quick, I see Laura. So Laura Wilson just said exercise. Awesome. So Laura also resonates with this as well. But could you kind of like real quick, could you share the exercise that we did to reverse engineer your why, if you remember how we did it?
Um, it took a little while to get deeper
Hmm.
because it was, again, kind of that, what I said in the beginning of just kind of the thoughts of, okay, I'm getting older. I should probably start thinking about my health. And I mean, I do think
Mm,
about my health to begin with because I am vegan. I mean, animals are number one for me. So to be honest, I wasn't, a healthy vegan in the beginning. I was more of
mm,
a, kind of junk food vegan, just eat
mm,
whatever because as long as I'm not hurting anyone, then,
mm,
that's fine. But like hurting anyone, I wasn't also putting the best things inside of me. So like
mm,
that was my initial, but then you and I just really kind of reflected and meditated on, just gave me some time to think like, why was that so important?
mm,
Why is health and fitness important to me? And
mm,
again, sure, it's important for me so that I can help others, that take the oxygen for you first
mm,
before you can help anyone else. So like I understood that, but like my deep why is really like my daughter. I
mm,
want to be a good, healthy vegan role model for her and for fitness. And that's something I didn't get from my parents. So it's something that me and my husband have decided that that's something we do want to
mm,
instill in our family. So we did some meditation on that and we kind of
mm,
had to dig deep to find that.
mhm.
But once I found that it really helps you push through and remind you again on those hard days when you're wondering why you're doing it. If you have a
Yeah.
deep why, it really comes back and it makes things a lot easier.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think it's such a great reminder because it's so easy for us to, like you said, like it's 6 a.m. Like, why the hell am I up doing a workout? Or it's like, why am I doing all this meal prep or prepping my meals or tracking my food? Like, what the heck is this for? Right. And it's like you said, it's reconnecting, it's peeling back the layers, even though it took us a bit, right, to actually get to that core reason. Like,
Yeah.
okay, so this is your real motivator, right? In fact, we may not even call it a motivation. This might be actually what's inspiring you to actually do this, like your driver, right?
Yeah.
And I think something that before we go to the next section right here, because Maggie shared a lot of great points here, and type in the word health. Type in health if you also resonate with being a positive role model. If you also resonate with being a positive role model of health, of fitness, of being a vegan role model for your family, your community, and others. And so, next section here, Maggie. So, we talked about really the kind of like a little bit of the backstory. We talked about where you were, kind of like that type of person you were, even some of the thoughts and emotions you had. But what was, before we go into kind of the process of how we change everything, what was some of your maybe even fears or skepticism or even doubts that you might have had before we got started? Because I'm guessing from what you shared, I'm guessing you had a few of those.
Just a few. Just a few. Um, well, I will say like I knew that I was like committed. So like I knew that I'm like, this is my first time something like
Mm,
this, I guess I'd
mm,
say, with a direct personal trainer. Um,
mm,
I've I joined gyms in the past, I do yoga routines, but I wasn't very consistent with it. I just kind of
mhm,
did it on my own, didn't know exactly what I was doing. So I
mm,
guess I was committed to doing it, but one of my fears, I guess, was, yeah, just how it was going to play out because
mm.
like I didn't belong to a gym anymore. None of my other,
Yeah.
previous attempts seemed to stick. So I
Mm.
was a little hesitant, had, in the back of my mind, well, how's this going to be different than all my
Right.
other attempts? So
100%. Yeah. Yeah.
so that was, I guess a fear. I knew I was going to do it, but obviously I had some doubt on is this really going to work out or not.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so that was kind of a doubt. And then I guess I had a little bit of doubt, I guess, on me physically. Again, my
Mm,
my physical background was like, I mean, yeah, sports and things, and I could do that, but lifting like heavy weights, going to a
mm,
gym, maybe using machines and stuff,
mm,
I definitely had I definitely had a lot of doubt and kind of I don't know, yeah, some fears, I guess, around
mm.
because it was going to be new to me.
Yeah, yeah. And I appreciate your honesty around this because it's something that I think, even just you articulating it, like I think many of us can relate to actually, oh my God, like actually, yeah, I know I have to work out, but I actually have to lift up those heavy things and those machines, and I got to actually do the work. And I might have to even grunt and make noise and push things. And I think it's, kind of like you just saying it out loud kind of like addresses the elephant in the room, which is like, oh, actually, if I do want to build muscle, if I want to get stronger, if I want to become fit and healthy, I kind of got to do the work.
Yeah, yeah, and it's hard. It's
Yeah,
it.
it is hard. There's
I'm
no
not
other.
gonna lie. If you want to
Yeah.
build muscle, like it's hard. So yeah, and I think us as humans, like anything that's hard, challenging, there's definitely some doubt and fear that comes along with
Hmm.
that. So
Hmm.
yeah, there was
Yeah.
definitely some of that in the beginning for sure.
Yeah, yeah, and I love that you just kind of like you address it. You just say it right on. I see Laura said help in here also. Naveen said health, baby, awesome. So definitely people who are resonating with becoming a positive role model. But type in because this is great, and I love that everybody's engaged here. Type in doubt if you can even relate to one time where you've doubted yourself in your life, whether it's your health, your fitness, any area of your life, where maybe you just had a little doubt, like can I actually do this? Like, I know I said, I know I'm committed, right? Maybe you're as committed as Maggie, right? But it's like, there's kind of like that little bit of a doubt, a little bit of a fear. Like, like, is this actually possible? Will I actually keep doing this? Right. So let's look at what's been different for you this time than Maggie, right? Obviously, this isn't your first health and fitness experience, right? You're not like,
No.
oh my God, what is a gym, right? No, you've had experience, right, with different things. So, what was different about the past 2.5 years working together within VFR that actually started to help you succeed, that actually helped you make this permanent and sustainable?
Uh, you guys, and I'm not you and Anna having genuine coaches that I can connect with. Like
Mm,
I will say when we first signed up for a gym, sure, they're like, here's your free coach for like, a week
mm,
or two if you want to try to get a personal coach. And nothing against the person that I was with or nothing against,
mhm,
gym coaches or anything, but they're just kind of there to like check off your boxes, like do your thing, great job. Like, and sure, like that can be helpful. But the level that I connected with you and Anna, one, because you are vegan. So to me, who's been vegan for a long time, like that was very important. Someone who
mm,
understood like where I was coming from.
mm,
Because not, as you know, not all not all fitness coaches are like supportive and
mhm,
realize the benefits of
mm,
having the nutritional background that I do have. So that was a huge thing. But you and Anna are just so easy to talk to. You're very personable. I felt an instant like connection energy with you guys, with you and Anna, and a caring that the support and caring from you guys, again, it's a way different level that you're going to get
mm,
than if you just go to, LA Fitness or whatever gym, there is, or trying to do it on your own. Like
mm,
the accountability, you guys holding my hands. Yeah, I just really, the connection that I felt from you
mm,
guys is why too, I felt inspired to do this and keep moving along.
mm, mm. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
really appreciate you sharing. And I think it's something just for you in particular, Maggie, I do want to acknowledge you because you have truly, and how does the saying go? You've taken the bull by the horns here, right? You've taken full ownership of your health and fitness. And it's something that you've probably heard us talk about this before. We talk about the 10-80-10 rule, right? Inside of VFR, where 10% of the time you're going to be really on point. You're going to be crushing it. You're going to be like, oh my God, I'm doing all my workouts, my nutrition. You're going to be really, really on point. 80% of the time, you're going to be more or less consistent, right? You're going to have a little bit of up days, down days. It's going to be more or less consistent, but it's not always going to be perfect. And then about 10% of the time, you might fall off track, right? You might have that bad week, maybe even that bad month where things just like really go south. And just from an acknowledgement perspective, Maggie, you've done a phenomenal job of staying in that 80-90% of the 80-90% of that standard these past 2.5 years. So it's great that you acknowledge like the support and the encouragement you've received, but at the same time, it does take that coachability, right, to put it into action, right? Which is why I'm really stressing it, because many times, many of us, right, we can have all the support in the world, right, all the coaching, all the encouragement, and then we don't see any growth, we don't see any changes, right? And we wonder, like, man, this didn't work for me. Like, oh, I wasn't able to do anything. And it's like, actually, right, we can have all the support in the world and it doesn't actually change anything, right? You can go to the gym and have 10 people cheering you on. It's like, come on, you can do it. But if you're not consistent for 3, 4, 5, 10 years, it doesn't really make a difference. So Maggie, with that in mind, if you were to teach somebody, let's say now 3 years in the past, 3 years from where you were in the past, what would be those 3 top lessons that you would teach that person?
Well, it's funny because we're here to talk about like health and fitness. The fitness part is actually easy. I mean, I know I said it's hard. It is hard. But like doing the workouts and stuff is the easy part. The internal mindset work was really, that was the change. Where my growth was that, because you're right, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make her drink it. You're like, here's all your resources, but you can't like force the person to. Yeah, just having that love and support around me, I think too lifted me up and gave me enough inspiration to like help me push through again some of that hard stuff. But I won't. Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm like, coachability, you mentioned that was like one of my main things. Like, you got to come into this open-minded and coachable. Like, yes, I had some, background or whatever, and I knew some exercises and things, but like, actually, I think it's probably better if you come in with a trainer like this with a blank slate, not knowing anything, so that I kind of can just be like, all right, what do I need to do? And kind of like start fresh instead of, I mean, not saying it's not helpful to have some background, but I think sometimes we get too stuck in our ways if we do know a way or we have been doing it a certain way for a while. So I think kind of just being malleable, being coachable when you first come in, because it's a journey, and I have changed. Like, your coaching has changed along with you.
Yes.
Like, it all just kind of changes as you're going. So you need to be able to like flow through with like the changes. So being coachable, I definitely say, is like a big thing that I learned, and I think is helpful to come into this type of program. And again, you got to do the work. Like, you can commit to it all you want, but like, if you don't show up and actually be consistent and do the work physically and mentally, again, it wasn't just physical, showing up, doing the exercises. I had to work on my mindset. My growth changed from thinking exercises are a chore and I hate doing them to I miss them now on a day that I don't work out. So just doing the work. And I guess I'll say my last thing too, something, Coach, that resonated with me that I got from you is the progress over perfection. I remember that from like almost day one somewhere. You started teaching me that, and that resonated with me. A lot of times
Mm,
we don't get started with things because we have in our
mhm,
head of like a perfect picture or something, or I
mhm,
gotta have all my perfect equipment, or I got, everything has to be set up a certain way before you can even start. And
mhm.
half the time we don't get started because we're stuck in this, well, the conditions aren't perfect or ideal. So I just progress over perfection.
I love that. Love
A
that.
way to keep moving myself forward, as might as well just start anywhere, start where you are
Mhm.
today and build from that. So
Beautiful, beautiful. Type in progress if you can relate to being a perfectionist at any point in your life at all, whether it's health, fitness, mindset, anything related. Type in progress just so we know where everybody's at here. And then to recap what you said here, because I love that you started off with the coachability, right?
mhm,
Having, and part of what I wrote down here was having a beginner's mindset with that, being
mhm.
able to, like you said, evolve as you evolve, right? As you grow and adapt to your exercises and nutrition and really progress, right? Being able to still be like almost like a fresh slate. And that was something that I wrote down here that I thought that was really, really nice. That you said it's great that almost like if you don't know anything. And even if you do, it's kind of like almost having that mentality where it's like, okay, I'm still learning, right? Even like okay, I might know this, but how can I see this in a fresh way, in a new way? How can I learn
Yes,
something maybe different in this particular way, if that makes sense?
absolutely.
Love that. And then also, so we touch on progress or perfection. I thought that was beautiful, right? Because I know something, and we've spoken about this so much, is really breaking free from that perfectionist mentality, right? From that, oh my God, like, geez, like I gotta get all the macros right, or I gotta get my meal prep right, or shit, I missed a rep, or I didn't do all the sets. It's like, and it's so easy because there's so much in health and fitness that actually it can be very kind of like tangible where you have the metrics and you're like, okay, I got this metric and this metric and this, and then it's like, holy crap, I don't feel like I'm actually doing this perfectly, right? And something that you just kept hitting on was like, actually just keep taking progress. So I just keep making moves. And to
Yep.
piggyback off of that, it's so interesting. You actually have inside of our BFR history, you have one of the longest winning streaks with your workouts, Maggie. I don't know if you knew that. You have
No.
one of the long, yeah, just to let you know, you actually have one of the longest winning. That basically what that means is you have one of the longest consecutive streaks of workouts completed week after week. And that's not an accident,
Yay.
right? Yeah, that's amazing. You're just like, holy crap, I didn't even know. That's amazing, right? Because when you think about that, that really comes back to that mentality. Can I just keep taking action inconsistently, imperfectly, right? But just keep doing it, right?
Yeah.
Even it's like, okay, I didn't do 5 perfect workouts this week, but I did 2 or 3, right? I didn't do like, oh my God, I didn't do every single set, right? But I just showed up and I did some reps and I did some sets. So love that you hit on that as well. And then the other piece, and this wasn't one of the lessons, but I wrote it down regardless because you've touched on it a few points already, is having the right group of people around you, having the right people who
Yep.
support you, who encourage you. And we've spoken about this quite a few times inside of our accelerator. Um, it's really that group of people around us, not only do they influence us, but they actually help shape who we become, right? You've probably heard the quote before that the 5 people closest to us
Yep.
are who we become, right? We're the result of that. And it sounds like, from what I've heard, you've actually allowed yourself to not only be influenced, but to actually shift your identity.
Absolutely. And again, you come back to that, like the support. I've made so many friends across, well, and even out of the country. I've made so many friends, and it hasn't just been, like the virtual Facebook community or whatever. Like we have our weekly calls and stuff, and like you get on there and you have the meeting. And this came from something else that I heard, but about sometimes the meeting needs you, but sometimes you need the meeting. And like usually on the day where you're like, I really don't feel like, you get on one of these calls and you start hearing the other people and their
Mm,
stories and what and you get inspired. And like by the
yes.
end of the call, your mood has changed and you're a little kinder to yourself, because we all relate to and we're all sharing our stories of what we're going through and everything. So like, yeah, just again, surrounding myself. Like if I would have, yeah, I shared with my parents, my sister, they're like, yay, okay, good for
Yeah.
you. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and they're like supportive, but they're not supportive and
Mm,
pushing and lifting me up, like this vegan community, like the VFR community does. So yes, putting
beautiful.
around the
Beautiful.
right people is also.
Right. Love that. Love that. Before we dive into the next point, so I see, so Naveen said progress, baby. Katie just jumped in. Katie said progress. Omari just wrote down. So Omari said motivation also hits when you just do it and you see
Yeah,
and you feel your pump. Oh, very interesting. I like that. Yeah, it's actually a great point. I think actually when we're doing it, when we're doing the workout, Maggie, I saw that you agree with that point. It's
yeah,
like you kind of like actually see you build up that momentum. Like, oh, I got a little bit of a pump. Now I'm starting to feel the mood. It's like, yes, like just doing it. Coming back to what Maggie's been saying here, just when we start taking any action, it just starts to get the ball rolling. So, Maggie, why don't we dive in and let's share about some of the results. Let's talk about the past 2.5, almost 3 years. What have been some of your physical changes? And then we'll go into mental and emotional. Like, what have you seen strength wise, muscular wise, endurance? Like, what have you noticed just physically? Let's start off with that.
sure. Um, I will say, um, well, I guess I'll start off by saying I'm kind of on the opposite end of the spectrum with health and fitness than some other people. Some people come into this looking to burn fat, lose weight.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on the opposite end of where I've always been pretty little. My mom's little, that's just how I am. So I'm actually trying to bulk up and put on weight, put on some lean muscle weight, because I've just been told I'm scrawny skinny my whole life, and you're weak and all this stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
so I was coming into this of like, yeah, again, I'm carrying around a kid all the time. We have lots of animals. So one of my goals was to be able to pick up and move around my 40-pound bags of cat litter, with
Mm-hmm.
being able to do it myself.
Yeah, let's go. Woo!
So strength for sure. I definitely, oh my goodness, yes, I have a lot more upper body strength than what I used to. So I'm able to pick things up that are a lot heavier than I normally would without like straining or worrying about hurting myself. um yeah, I would say strength is my biggest one overall. What else? Well, I've had a lot of physical change too, because of, as a side note, I'm working with Anna on nutrition and really focusing on my health, which is
Mm-hmm.
the other coin of, actually like weightlifting and stuff, are my
Mm-hmm.
health and nutrition and what I'm actually eating and putting in my body. So that has helped my digestion a lot, working with Anna,
Mm-hmm.
and letting my body heal and recover, because I didn't realize how important
Mm-hmm.
recovery and allowing myself to heal. So I'm down, I guess, a few inches in my stomach area just from getting rid of some of the bloat and digestive issues
Mm-hmm.
that I had. So yeah, the strength and the muscle that I put on is great. But I had no idea, yeah, working with Anna on the health and
Mm-hmm.
nutrition side, how overall like
Yeah.
better I would feel just from
Mm.
changing some of my nutritional habits.
Right. And I think it's a great analogy here. I think many of us, especially if we have a car, we can relate. And it's kind of like you take the car and you're like, okay, I just want to get the oil change, right? And you get the oil change, and then the mechanic comes out and is like, oh, by the way, but did you know that your radiator light's on and the engine has a little bit of a problem and this thing and this thing? And you're like, No, I didn't. Like, I actually had no idea, like, what's going on. And you start to find out, like, wow, like, kind of like in health and fitness, right?
Yeah.
We come in and we're like, okay, maybe I just want to build some muscle. I want to build some strength. And then kind of find like, holy crap, man, I've been bloated for years. Or, oh my God, like, I've had digestive problems for years. Or, oh my God, like, actually would like to take off a few inches off my waist. Like, what's going on here? And we start to go deeper and it's like, it's kind of like you start that whatever your first entry point is, like Maggie shared, it was more about muscle building, more strength. The more we go deeper into our health and fitness, the more we start to realize this isn't just like a kind of like a quick stop solution thing where it's like, okay, I fixed it. Now I'm good to go. I never need to come back and worry about my health again. Right. It's kind of like, no, from what you shared, this is a ongoing evolution. Right. And the more that
Yeah.
we invest and the more we pour into ourselves, the more that we start to regain, get that return on the investment. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. But so yeah, I came into this ready to like pick up weights, be in the gym, all that type of stuff. But I did a lot of health work, a lot of, like I said, nutritional work. And
Mm,
us vegans think we know everything about, or at least I did, thought I knew everything about, well, I'm vegan, so I'm already healthy just by default. Um,
yes.
and sure, we are to a point. I'm not going to like downplay the benefits
Yeah.
of, eating vegan, anyway, but there's a lot more to build on that.
Mm,
And Anna and I really worked on that along with, also weight training. So that was
beautiful.
a big side to me. And that really helped me with my health.
Yeah. And before we go into the mental and emotional changes, type in vegan if you can relate to what Maggie just shared. Being vegan, and sometimes, come on, and let's just be honest here. Like, sometimes feeling like, you know what, I'm vegan, like, I'm healthy by default. Like, it's okay that I have junk food like 3 or 4 times a week. I'm vegan. It's vegan junk food. Come on, guys. Just type in vegan if you could relate to that even 1%. And then, Maggie, why don't we talk about some of your mental and emotional changes? Because I think that was something that you hit on, that for the workouts, for fitness, it's easy now. But how did you shift that mentally and emotionally for you? Because from the beginning, what you shared, it seemed like the most difficult part. So what was that shift for you to make it easy?
Well, probably, again, the progress over perfection all comes back to that. And it probably helped me that I also had surgery my very first year. Well, like I don't know, it might have been a couple months after I started working with you.
So
I
you had
had knee,
surgery in your first few months. Let's just elaborate on that. You had a
yes,
surgery. Okay.
I had knee surgery. I had a torn meniscus. So, and that wasn't from working out. That was just from, I was getting older. It's been torn. So,
Mm,
um, but I had to step back because I started working out and I was like, oh, some aches and pains. That's kind of been there. But yeah, I slowed down too. And I actually took a hard look at like, what are some of
mm,
my physical ailments? What are some of my issues? Just like I did with some of my GI issues. I had to step back for a minute and I had to have surgery to repair my knee. And I was like, well, something I had to do to be able to move forward. And being at the beginning, I was so excited to like, let's work out. And now I'm here like, coach, like I remember crying to you because I'm like, I can't, my
mhm,
knee's in this huge like wrap.
mhm,
I'm in so much pain. I can't walk, but here I'm supposed to be doing my workouts. Like, what can I do? And
mhm, mhm,
you helped me again. Like, they didn't even give me physical therapy or anything, but thankfully, because I was working with you, you gave me little movements, like soft, gentle movements that I was still like a week after surgery, I was
mhm,
still able to keep those habits going of that,
mhm,
my momentum going. And I just kept in my head the progress over perfection. It was
mhm.
not perfect. I was to go down to my basement to do my workouts. I had to go down on my butt on the stairs because I couldn't walk
Oh
on my
my
knee.
God.
But
Jeez.
but I took my time and I got down there, and one
Mm,
day at a time, I did what I was able to do that day. And I I got through it. And now I look back of like, oh, well, hell, if I think anything's hard now, like look at where I've come and the things that I've
Mm-hmm.
gone through.
Mm-hmm.
So again, just that progress over perfection. I just literally, I use that in my life everywhere now because
Mm-hmm.
it fits everywhere. It got rid of a lot of the fear and doubt by
Mm-hmm.
being able to just, I can take another step. I can
Right,
go
right.
another day. Like I can, what's the next hour look like? I just, when everything feels overwhelming and yeah, a lot of fear and doubt,
Mm-hmm.
I really just like come back to the present. What can I do right now?
Mm-hmm.
Progress over perfection. And yeah, that was my biggest thing that helped me with my mind shift, my
Love
mindset.
it. Love it. Love it. You know, it's such a, and it's almost like at this point, the way you're saying it, it's like a mantra for you. And
Oh, it
yet at the
is.
same time,
It
yeah,
is.
yet it has that same effect, right? When we start to move from something that we teach a lot about is when we memorize something, then we personalize it, and then finally we internalize it, right? When we reach that third phase, which is what I'm hearing from you, when we internalize something, that's when it actually shifts, right? It actually shifts our behaviors, our actions, the way we show up, our mentalities, et cetera, et cetera. So I love that you kind of like, I know you've mentioned this a few times, but it's kind of like coming back to actually what we think about ourselves, how we approach our exercise, our fitness, our nutrition. It impacts everything, right? At the end of the day, like that's actually, it's impacting everything. If we're thinking like, you know what, this is so difficult, I can't do this, and probably it is going to be difficult and probably you're not going to do
Yep.
it.
Yep. Slow and steady. I mean, I read books and stuff like that to my daughter all the time about the, slow and steady wins the race, like progress
Yes.
over perfection, just one step at a time. And I know it sounds kind of cheesy or easy to say, but
Yeah.
yeah, I just say like if you start, your health and fitness journey, yeah, find a mantra that works for you, one that I've been through a couple and I have a couple like plastered around my house, but
Yeah.
progress over perfection is one that resonated really well with me. And it's become part of my identity now. And it just kind of helps me, yeah, keep moving along, especially on those hard days. But that has really helped my mind shift.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Before we start to wrap up, I want to do a quick little bonus rapid fire. But just for everybody else, because this is a great point, type in if you use any mantra, if you use any affirmation, if you use any kind of like a mentality. Would love to hear. Just drop in the comments below. Drop in what's your affirmation, what's your mantra if you use any. And would love to hear, just see if anybody drops in a few of them here. While that's going on, Maggie, let's do a quick bonus rapid fire for anybody who might actually kind of be on the fence, right? Kind of be like maybe even like 3 years ago and be like, oh, like I want to work on my health. I want to do the exercises. I want to build muscle. I want to build strength as a vegan, but I don't know if I can do it. What would you say to someone who's on the fence about investing in themselves at a high level, financially and emotionally?
I would go back to the exercise that you and I did in the very beginning to find your why, your deep seated why. And again, it took me a little while. Sure, everyone wants to be, whatever ideal vision of like health and fitness and feeling great. And sure, I think that's kind of everyone's, but like deep down underneath, sit with yourself for a while, some quiet space, and reflect on really why. And again, like maybe use some inspiration of like why you went vegan, like start playing around with some of your, to help you find that commitment, to help you find that motivation of just, and when you really come back to that, like my daughter, my friends and family back here on my wall, like
Yes,
that's
yes.
when you have a deep why, it's a lot easier. So I would figure out your why. And if your why really speaks to you and you feel like it's something like now is the time that like you're going to commit and you can do that, then definitely move forward.
Beautiful, beautiful. And just saw that Laura actually dropped in one of her mantras as well to piggyback off what we said. So Laura added choose your hard. And then Naveen just added in, act as if you're already the person you want to be. So I love that there's different ways that, coming back to what you shared earlier, Maggie, there's different ways that we can actually start to rewire our mindset, our relationship with our health. And then coming back to what you just answered there, ultimately, if we're not connected to our why, to our motivation, to our reason, then it's
Yeah.
kind of like what's the purpose of this? Like, why am I even showing up to do this?
Right. Right.
Beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful.
So
So
don't waste your money if you don't sign up and, say I'm going to do this if you don't really, mean it and feel committed to, like, because there's a lot of work and there's change. So there's a lot of
yeah,
things to I guess consider. So
absolutely, absolutely. And I think it's something that, we hear a lot, especially here at VFR, that, everyone's busy, right? Whether they're busy raising a family, they're busy running their career or their business or traveling, et cetera, et cetera. Everyone's busy, right? But at the same time, Maggie, you're one of the busiest women that I know. And we have some students who are ridiculously busy. I mean, you're raising your daughter, you're taking her to school, like you're a busy wife, like you're running a household, right? So there's every reason in the book for you to actually have put this on the back burner. You had knee surgery in the first 3 to 6 months, right? You've had, challenges, with digestive system and, having to change nutrition and health and elbow challenges and everything. Like, it's like everything. So Maggie, what would you say to somebody who says they're too busy, or, I just don't have the time for this, or I don't have the energy for this? What would you say to that person?
oh my gosh, that is me. Like I am a work in progress. So I'm still rewiring my brain. I still have a lot of that, negative wiring in my brain of, because I think we're all taught that. We're all, brought up that way. And it really comes back to, which was something that's really hard for me and I'm still working on, is self-care, taking care of yourself first, because I can't help my family. I can't show up well for my family 100% if I'm not taking care of me. I can't go to a slaughterhouse protest if I'm not feeling well and taking care of myself. I can't, be out there on my soapbox, doing all the things that I want to do and help the nonprofits that I want to help. If you come back to taking that little bit of time for yourself first, then your reach, you can reach more people. You can do way more things if you come back to center and really just take some time and focus on you. And it doesn't have to be a lot. I really like half an hour to an hour in the morning before everybody gets up. Like I do my thing and makes me feel good, and now I'm in a better mind state for my family, and it starts my day off better. So I forget what you asked me now.
we're talking, and I think you hit the nail on the head right there. We were talking about, like, what would you say to somebody who says they're just too busy, they don't have the
Yeah,
time?
there's
Yeah.
always, there's time, because I have time to watch a Netflix show, or I have time to sit there and fumble my phone and do whatever. So there is at least 15, 20 minutes, half an hour that you can find the time. You just need to put it on your calendar, because it doesn't exist if it's not on your
Mm,
calendar. You have
mm,
committed your work schedule, like, you leave and you work at your office. Like, you're not going to just not do that,
mm,
so you put your doctor's appointment on the schedule, put your workout on your schedule. Like, that is something that
mm,
it's important to me. It's non-negotiable time. It's me time. So
mm,
yeah, I'm rewiring that it's not a bad thing for me to take care of myself. It's a good
beautiful.
thing to take care of myself, so
It's
then
a pretty damn good thing. Yeah. And like you said, if it's not scheduled, it's not real,
mhm,
right? I think it's beautiful that you pointed that out, that it's so easy that we schedule dentist and doctor and work and everything else under the sun,
yep,
except for ourselves,
yep,
right? Except for actually the thing that's driving, the
yep,
human being that's driving all those activities.
For sure.
Beautiful.
And if you don't make that car maintenance appointment, regularly, then you're not going to know until you need a surgery or you get sick or something else. And then your body forces you to slow down. So I'm just trying to prevent that and stay ahead of it.
Exactly, exactly. I think it's a beautiful approach as we start to wrap up here. It's essentially every time we invest in ourselves, because it is an investment. Every time we invest in ourselves, it's actually preventative, right? We're actually, like Maggie said, we're preventing potential scenarios that are 100% possible, right? We live in a country, at least just in the States. If you're listening from the States, by 2030, it's estimated about 50% of Americans will be overweight or obese. That's half the country. Like, ladies and gentlemen, that's a lot of people, right? 1 in 3 people will be overweight in the next 7 years. Like, this is crazy, right? And when we really let that sink in, what Maggie's teaching us here, what she's sharing with us here, is her insights over the past 2.5, 3 years that she's learned from years of not putting herself first, years of like, I know I need to do that work. I know I need to do the exercise, but you just don't do it, right? And like Maggie said, when we schedule it, right? When we make it non-negotiable. Maggie, you've said this, and I think one of our other students has shared this before, that it needs to be a non-negotiable, right? When something's non-negotiable, like taking care of your daughter is non-negotiable, right? It's like, oh yeah, tonight I'm not going to feed my daughter. No, right? That's not negotiable. That's going to happen every night, right? No matter what. And yet it's making that shift, like you said, and bringing that over to the things that actually take care of you, right? That honor your body, your health, your fitness, your strength, your development as a human being. So Maggie, before we close out here, what would you say has been the biggest nugget that you've learned from our VFR roadmap? Something that you would share with somebody in terms of how long it takes to permanently change your lifestyle, your habits, and now that you're moving into your identity. What would you say that nugget would be?
I'd also say, I have written down here, be kind to yourself. Along with I can't say progress over perfection enough, but a big reminder is to be kind to yourself. And part of the support, you and Anna, great coaches, reminding me to be kind to myself, that I don't always have to be doing that higher 10% of like being,
Right.
on point all the time. Like, it's okay to be down here and like being whatever, the average, the general, like, it's okay to be there. Like, there's nothing bad about it. It doesn't say anything, bad about me or anything like that. That just, you are where you are that day. Like, if I don't work out, if I skip a workout or something, and then I go back, I'm like, whoa, like, whew, these weights feel a little heavier today. Maybe I can't do as much as I could the day, but that's okay. That doesn't mean anything, like I'm any less of a person, or that I'm, oh, I didn't do, like, what is the point of getting down on yourself? Like, sure, you can use it as a little bit of like a motivator to like push yourself and stuff, but like, we're so good at like being kind to animals, that I hear this a lot, that us vegans forget that we're animals too, and we forget to be kind to ourselves, and we're so hard on ourselves all the time. And like, I think we just need to remind ourselves to be a little bit more compassionate to ourselves, especially in those hard times, especially in the days where we're feeling like we don't want to push, we don't want to do the workout, and like, just remember that we're all right and it's fine. Progress over perfection. And I'll get it tomorrow if I can't maybe get it today. Like, just be kinder to ourselves.
Beautiful, beautiful. And it's such a great reminder as we're closing out here that self-compassion, self-care, it truly is the highest care, right? As much as we may think like, okay, I'm going to take care of the animals or the planet or my family or my kids or my work, ultimately, if we don't take care of ourselves, right? If we don't take care of our heart, our body, like the things that actually matter and make a difference in our life, then what's the point of everything else? Right? Because
True.
there's already so much suffering out there. There's already so much anger and so much conflict, right? And it's kind of interesting that until we, and this is going a little bit off track here, but until we actually let ourselves be with ourselves, like let ourselves actually face like, hey, this is what's going on inside of me, right? I've been putting myself at the bottom of the priority list for years, right? And that's having a direct correlation on my work, on my influence, on if I want to be a role model, right? If I want to be healthy, strong as a vegan. So I love that you close that out with that point. I think it's such a great reminder for all of us. And before we close out here, so last 30 seconds here. So quick reminder. So if you are 2-minute little or 30-second little commercial here, if you're a vegan who resonates with anything that Maggie shared, resonates with wanting to be a role model, wanting to be healthy, wanting to be strong, wanting to be somebody who can, inspire her family, inspire her community, inspire others, right? To actually become healthy, fit, and strong. Just type in vegan in the comments below, and then we'll just see if this is something that we can support you around. Maggie, anything else that you would add before we close out for today?
Yeah, one last thing. You talking about, yeah, it's a physical journey, but it is a mental journey. And I started out real strong, but because I had been repressing so much stuff over the years and I'm rewiring my brain, yeah, obstacles came up. I got sick, I had an elbow injury, like things just, but I just kept working through it. And I'm just like, I'm getting stronger and I'm learning then how to, okay, I got an injury. Well, I don't have to stop working out. Like you guys showed me some ways to, work around that, change some things. How do I strengthen that muscle? So
yes,
don't be surprised if you do start and things start coming up and you might have to take a few steps back before you can move forward. It's a journey, and it just kind of, again, you go with the flow, and it's not something that I'm going to stop like tomorrow or whatever. It's part of my identity now. I've made that mindset shift, and I'm just, every day looks different, but I'm going to keep progress over perfection.
Beautiful, beautiful. Love that. Love that. And Maggie, thank you for taking the time to be on here today. Pleasure having you on, and excited to keep rocking 2023.
Yay. Thank you for having me.
Yep,
And
definitely.
I'm around too, so anybody can reach out on
Yes,
Facebook or whatever.
reach out if you have any questions. Reach out. Maggie is such a great support system, someone very, very insightful. As you can hear, she has many lessons. One of her favorite one, as you heard, is progress over perfection. And definitely, yeah, Maggie, love that, love that. Feel free to reach out to Maggie. She's happy to help. She's happy to guide you, support you. And we'll end off there. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you all next week on our next training. Take care.
Thanks.